super fantastic. Today, 1st of April, I received, by God's grace, 23 years clean from all drugs. It's the third half for you alone. The idea of a spiritual awakening takes many different forms and different personalities that we have found in our fellowship. Basic text, page 49. Though we all work the same steps, each of us in our experiences, the spiritual awakening resulting from our own way, depending on who we are. For some of us, the spiritual awakening promises in the 12 steps will result in a renewing interest in religion and mysticism. Others will awaken to understand the lives of those around them, experience empathy, perhaps of the first time. Still others will realize that the steps have awakened them to their own mortal and ethical principles. Most of us experience our spiritual awakenings or empathetical principles. Most of us experience our own spiritual awakening as a combination of those things, each combination as required as the individual who has been awakened. If there is so many different varieties of spiritual awakening, how do we know if we've truly had one? The 12 steps provides us with 2 signs. We have found principles capable of as well the kind of principles we want to practice in all our affairs. And we're beginning to care for each about our addicts and freeing sure for them the experience we've had, no matter what the details of our awakenings are like. We all are given the guidance, details, and awakenings are like. We all are given the guidance and the love we need in life-fulfilling, spiritual-oriented lives, regardless of our practice share. My spiritual awakening has helped me fill my place in the world with love and life, for what I am grateful for. Spiritual awakenings vary from person to person, from time to time. I can't even begin to count how many spiritual awakenings over the years I've had. I call those, another name for them is the aha moment, when you actually go, wow, I can't believe I didn't see that. Or I can't believe that's what that means. It's the actual realization and the education that we get through time in the program. You know, I told you earlier that I have 23 years clean. Um, do you know, today I took time to call my sponsor. Yes, silly me, foolish Kent, after 23 years, still calls his sponsor. What a dummy. He can't handle anything himself. No, you're right, I can't. I didn't get where I got because I did what I didn't need to do. I did exactly what I had to do to get to where I got in order to have what I have, to be where I am, and to be who I am. Am I who I want to be? Sort of. Am I where I want to be? No. But through time and effort, I will learn those purposes and plans at the time and place that it's convenient and set for me to learn them. The brain is a very complex piece of machinery, and it has a very unique ability. I've taken time over the past week to study this, that there's talks on this all over the place. Brain surgeons and theologists and psychiatrists and psychologists say both the brain can and can't fix itself. Well, I'm here to testify to you that this is true, that the brain, the synapses in the brain that are damaged from addiction, can be healed. I'll tell you why I say that. Because from the age of 16 till the age of 30, I had no memory of those years. Today, I can remember every detail. Not every single second, but, I remember those details. I remember those stupid mistakes. You know, I remember driving like an idiot down the highway, you know, going 180 miles an hour, acting like a total douchebag, you know, running my motor because I wanted to hear it go vroom, vroom. I remember being at the racetrack and beating everything that come against me. It didn't give me happiness. I remember having a $30,000 a year job. I wasn't happy. I remember having, time and effort. And as I get more experienced in recovery, the less I know. The best thing that I can tell you is that my great-grandfather told me something when I was very young, and at the time I didn't understand what he meant. But each and every day that I think about it, it becomes more predominant in my life. And he simply said to me, he said, "Kent," and I said, "Yes, Grandpa." He said, "If you stop learning, you're dead." And as a child, I thought that was simply mind blowing. You know, When I stop learning, I'm dead. And I thought about that for years. And until I got clean, I never understood what it meant. If you don't learn something new every day, a new word, a new phrase, a new person, if you don't understand, it's okay to ask. Just because you're a man or a self-made woman or an independent person doesn't make you inferior or less of to ask for help. You know, it's so important that we rely 100% on our spiritual awakenings and our spiritual guide, that spiritual being that when it gets up to here and we're going down for the third time because we're too stupid to understand. We're too ridiculous. And, oh, me, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. I got time in the program. No, if you get cocky in this program and you get complacent, you get out using. It's called relapse mode. There's emotional, psychological, and physical relapse. Emotional relapse happens first. Something happens to just blow your recovery out of the water. And you're going, my God, what do I do? You know, how am I going to handle this? You see, I'm going back to self again. How am I going to deal with this? Why does this have to happen to me? Why am I in this situation? See, that's an emotional relapse. Then there's a psychological relapse where your brain and your synapses in your brain start saying, oh God, you've got time in, you can go out and use, it's okay, it won't be the same as it was. Yes, it will. It never changes. It's as I said in the meeting today. Once you cross that bridge, once you cross that threshold into active addiction and become a compulsive addict, there's no going back. It's like saying the worst word on the face of the earth. You know, one of the worst things that can ever happen is you're making love to the love of your life and you say your ex-girlfriend's name. God Almighty, what do you do there? You know, it's happened. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's happened to. It can be fixed. You know? But that's because I took my will back. And that psychological relapse, now I've gone and done it. Now I'm no good. Now I'm pitiful. Then the self-hatred talk starts. The committee of idiots, as I call them, start beaking in my head. You know, if at this point I don't call my sponsor and I don't do what I need to do, you're on your way out. You're on your way to a relapse. You know, I can't tell you how many people have gone to treatment, 30, 60, 90-day programs, come out of it and thought, this is great. You know, I'm cured. So you're not. You're never cured, man. Don't ever say that. Don't let your addiction tell you you're cured. There is no cure for this. Cancer there is. Hepatitis there is. AIDS there is. Not this. There is no cure for addiction. Because once we cross that physical threshold of relapse, we may never come back. We may never get clean again. God, I'm telling you, please, for the love of God, pick up the phone. Yes, it weighs a ton. Yes, it's awful to ask for help. The first time, you feel like you swallow your pride, and you're beat, and you're defeated. But when you get on the other side, and you look back and you say, wow, next time it's easier. Next time it's easier. You know, when I'm having a tough time, I call my sponsor today. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm glad I have him. You know, it's important we do this. Spiritual awakenings, those aha moments. Some people wait decades to never see one. Now, why do you think that is? One reason. You don't get a spiritual awakening because you're not working the program the way it was intended to work. The way it's intended to work is step 1 through 12. And if you have to go back and do them again and again and again and again until you get it, do it. That spiritual awakening, that aha moment, that realization that I'm not alone in this universe. I actually have somebody who can fight with me. I don't have to fight alone. Such a cool, awesome feeling. I can't stress that enough. God bless you.